Step 2 for the animal, since you already have this form, step 2 is going to be getting clay around it. So if you're really good with slabs, or you really enjoyed that, or you like the consistency of a slab, you can roll out a slab and then wrap the slab around this, maybe like you did in the mug assignment. So if you really enjoyed that and you were good at it and felt good, do that here. If you didn't like that, you can kind of form it by hand. If you like pinch pots, you can do that. If you like coils, that's fine. So got your form, I got my clay. This is where it gets messy. Rip off a chunk. And I'm going to flatten it out and kind of flatten it out into like a little curve here. I don't want it to be extraordinarily thick. I'm thinking kind of like 3/8, a little less than ½ inch thick, like 3/8 of an inch. So I'm pinching this down. If the clay is too thick, the clay retains moisture. And if it's not completely dry, that moisture will evaporate and to create steam. Will evaporate and create steam. And that steam's got to go somewhere. And if it can't get out fast enough, guess what it's going to do? Right through your clay wall. So there's a nice little, it's pretty quick, super quick, just like the fastest pinch dish. And then I'm going to take that, set the piece kind of inside, because I made this kind of curved because I knew my piece was a little curved. And then it's very wet, so I can get away without scoring and slipping with this since it's wet. If it's not super, super wet, you can, of course, score. And this is always, or if you're worried about it, or you really want to make sure it's done well and you really want to ensure it, then you score with some slip and you add the next piece on. But this is very mushy, and I'm just blending that whole thing together right there around the edge. So that's pretty secure. I can take another chunk. And I feel good about this. I watched, after watching videos of people in Burkina Faso, Kenya, Ethiopia apply coils to their pots, which are just absolutely beautifully made, very well done. They'll take wet clay, just do like a little coil and apply it just with this amazing like upward blending, smoothing technique all at the same time. I tried to imitate it, I can't quite get there. So there's another little quick pinch dish. This is about the same thickness as that one. So try and keep them the same thickness. That's going to help the whole thing. So consistency is key. To really ensure that they stick, I'm just going to take a little water and go around. I'm probably going to connect it around this area. So I'm going to score. This is what you should do pretty much anytime you attach something. You're increasing the surface area. You're turning the edge of this, kind of the edges, into a wet clay, which is slip, and it acts like a glue, kind of like a cement. It isn't, but it acts like it. Let's go to this side. I'm not being super neat. This is not the stage to be neat. You don't need to be neat at this stage. There will be time later to get really fine, finicky detail, and it works much better much later on. I'm going to work over this so many times that there's just no need. It'd be a waste of time and energy. So then put those areas together, squish them, just like little squeezing motions. Blend the clay blend the one piece into the other piece. And that where you cannot blend the inside, the scoring and the slipping really help. That padding is just for like little forming, trying to get it kind of a round body. I've got my image here that I'm looking at. So once I get this one all taken care of, I'm not worried if it's a little out of whack because there is time to reform it. Right now, the goal is to get the form covered. Blending out all the little pieces, making sure there's a nice round hollow, and it's pretty light because it's got that newspaper under there. It's not going to collapse because that newspaper is giving it some structure, some force to push back against the clay so you can work with it a little bit. Newspaper will absorb some of the water from the clay, just as like if you had a sports game and it was in the rain, one way to dry out your shoes, your cleats, bring them back, stuff newspaper in them. The newspaper absorbs some of the water from the inside and helps dry them out faster, reduce smell, etc. So that is step 2, getting the clay around the form, so then you can add on to this. This one's pretty big. So if this is going to be a panther, it's going to be a pretty sizable panther that this would turn into. So that's step 2.